Welcome to Ho Chi Minh!
Did I go to Saigon to see friends, or did I just go to eat pork rolls? You'll never know, but let's talk about how next level pork rolls are in Saigon. Touted commonly as the best banh mi in Saigon, Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa is packed with tourists and Grab drivers alike. It means that the experience can be a bit chaotic, but the way I see it, it's all part of the fun and the experience. Banh mi is cheap in Saigon, coming in at around $4 to $5 a roll. At Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa, what you see is what you get. And what I saw was mounds of thick cuts of meat. But also, to my surprise, pork floss. After having pork rolls in Sydney, I was thinking, what the heck is pork floss doing in there? But I have to say, it is such a good combination. The bread loaves were also being restocked while we were there, and we were shocked to see how big the rolls were. The turnover is fast, and you get your roll almost as quickly as ordering it. The real challenge is finding an empty spot with a table in the 2 restaurant areas they own. As with a lot of pork rolls in Saigon, the veggies come separately and you get a glove to pick and choose everything that you want to put in. In a very dark time of my life, I used to have all meat pork rolls, but fortunately I've converted, which meant that I could have Saigon pork rolls properly. And the veg was just really refreshing and provided a lot of zing and pickled taste to an otherwise heavy pork roll. Some people might tell you that size doesn't matter, but size does matter. We barely finished half a pork roll because these pork rolls were so ginormous. And look at that cross section. The banh mi was close to perfect for me. Lots of fresh pickled veg, dollops of mayo and pate that had a smoky taste, and thick cuts of meat as well. I wasn't really sure how any of the banh mi's was going to top this one, but we were just at the beginning of our banh mi journey in Saigon. Madam Win is on a shop front on a very busy street near a roundabout, and there are large signs so you can't miss the store. It's a newer, more modern looking banh mi store with digital displays and separate products for banh mi, including the dap bit, or special one that is the most similar to the banh mi from Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa that we just spoke about. You can also buy the banh mi filling separately, which was really tempting, but we weren't staying for a long time. There's a bit of drama between Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa and Madam Win, or otherwise known as Banh Mi Ba Win. Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa used to be owned by 2 partners, and during that time the 2 partners split and one of them made Madam Win. I was originally going to just go to Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa because the reviews were so overwhelmingly positive for that store. But during the time we were there, we spoke to some locals that mentioned Madam Win was a new local fave. The stores are pretty similar, but there are also some major differences as well. Madam Win is much less touristy, as it's lesser known to tourists for now. The seating area is also a little bit more spacious here. Now for the banh mi. If I thought Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa was a big boy, I wasn't ready for Madam Win. If possible, the cuts of meat were thicker, and they also had an extra layer of what I think was just pure fat.
It's time for your examination, Mr. Banh Mi.
The banh mi overall tasted a bit different, with a fresher taste and a less smoky mayo taste, and more creamy original mayo. I think this pork roll was also more filling overall because of the ratio of mayo and pate to meat, but I did also make the mistake of getting an avocado shake, which was probably not the smartest thing to do, considering the big meal I had.
Differences between the 2 banh mi places. The pork floss in this one is amazing. There's something that they did that keeps the pork floss I'm drooling. Crispy and a little bit crunchy, and there's a lot of umami flavor in it, or I don't know, some sort of salty flavor in it. This one doesn't have the smoky taste that the other banh mi has, which I really like, but for some people they would prefer this banh mi over the other one. The other thing I've realized is that this one probably is a little bit more rich, so there's more mayonnaise, there's more pate, and I'm struggling to finish half of one today. Whereas yesterday I could finish half of the other big banh mi like pretty easily. This place I think has better service, so they cater for foreigners a bit more. They have someone who speaks English and helps you order in Vietnamese, and then you'll get directed to a seating area where there's a lot more seats because it's new at the moment. And also this area is just like quintessentially like Vietnamese. You're sitting right on the streets in front of a really busy road and watching all of the cars and the motorbikes go past. The other thing is I think that the vegetables are fresher in this one. Don't quote me on that one, you're just gonna have to try both of them. And this one also has a layer of like fat meat, like literally just pure fat. Whereas the other one I think doesn't have that. If you order the big one, they'll know that you're probably eating with 2 people. So they'll give you 2 sets of gloves, 2 serviettes as well. And they'll also offer to cut the banh mi in half for you. Whereas the other one, the service isn't quite like that. You just get the banh mi and you go. Because they're so popular that they're really, really busy already. Whereas this place, I think they've already like set processes for how to serve their customers and make the experience a little bit better.
Now onto Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa. It is a good spot to hit up if you want more variety and less of a monster of a pork roll. They're well known for their barbecue pork roll, but they still do the traditional pork rolls as well. There's also an option for a bigger banh mi with more meat, but since we had the Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa one right before this one, we just stuck with the smaller one for the purposes of being able to eat a bit more food after this. Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa seems a little bit less touristy and quieter with an outdoor street side seating, which is really nice. I ordered a sugarcane juice as well, and I was so surprised when a random lady walked up to me and gave me the sugarcane juice. They seem to have a collaboration with a store across the road to provide drinks for customers eating at the banh mi store. This was a really decent banh mi and good if you want a more traditional-ish one. However, if you want a really big monster of a banh mi with lots of rich tasting pad thai and mayonnaise, I definitely recommend either Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa or Madam Win. This might be a bit of a blasphemous inclusion, but have you ever been given the reins to put whatever you want in a banh mi at an all-star Asian buffet? Consider this a trigger warning for those who like the food authentic and untouched by my grubby fingers or my grubby mind. We stayed at Vin Pearl, which I'm excited to share more of it with you next week, and they had a really good variety of Asian food at their buffet breakfast. However, I found my favourite breakfast bar there and went back on the subsequent days of our trip. That breakfast bar was the Banh Mi breakfast bar, of course. And I put all the usual in there, cuts of meat, pad thai, mayo and veg, but also added salted egg and garlic. I'm all for the weird combinations, and this was the best. I like this just as much as I liked the other real, more authentic rolls in Saigon as well. At the end of our trip, we discovered that Grab Eats is basically the same price for the banh mis with an extra delivery fee of 40,000 dong, which was around $1. So we ordered some of our favourites from the app for our last meal. I ended up getting a banh mi from Banh Mi Hyunh Hoa, which was the first banh mi that we had because I needed to compare how it tasted to the Madam Win banh mi. But both of them are really similar, and if you're in Saigon, I'd recommend trying both of them. Next week, I'll share my experience staying at Vin Pearl Landmark 81, the tallest building in Saigon with the most incredible views.